Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Let's get started. New at 10 tonight, how many homeless people live in Spokane County? That is the question hundreds of volunteers are trying to answer. The city's annual point-in-time count begins tonight. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk reports.
You can learn a lot about someone in 10 minutes.
Fired from my last job, and then my money just ran out for my rent and stuff.
Well, I had a heart attack and I couldn't work.
Tonight, inside the Union Gospel Mission, homeless men opened up to complete strangers, revealing how they ended up here.
It helps with your empathy a lot to understand full situations when it comes to this.
Molly Hansen is a senior at Whitworth University studying housing and homelessness. She's one of roughly 200 volunteers surveying Spokane County's homeless population during this year's point-in-time count.
Have you been asked the point-in-time survey before?
No, ma'am.
No.
Russell Moore lost housing in September.
Last winter, I got sick back to back, and I used up all my sick time, and I was over 3 days more than they allowed. So they had to let me go.
Too sick to work, Moore says he burned through his savings paying rent. Now he's living at UGM.
Hopefully by next year, I will have a job and housing.
Moore hopes he won't need to be counted next year. So does Victor Ruiz.
8 months ago, I wasn't homeless.
Ruiz suffered a heart attack and used up the money in his 401k. He moved in with his in-laws, then his father-in-law died, and the family lost their home. Now Ruiz is on a waiting list to get into an apartment.
I was really nervous about being here. And I tell you what, I am pleasantly surprised. This is a very good place.
The point-in-time count helps the city and service providers better understand what people need, what's working, and what can be improved.
So within that survey, we'll have lots of great questions as to why they may not have utilized the shelter, why they would go to a shelter, and shelters maybe that they didn't agree with or reasons why they don't.
The annual count is intentionally held in the winter to get a sense of how many people are sleeping outside in the most extreme conditions. It's also when the city of Spokane funds additional shelters. Data collected helps determine how much federal aid the city receives to combat homelessness. Last year, volunteers counted and surveyed 2,390 homeless men and women. This graph shows how many were unsheltered, 955 last year compared to 310 in 2018. Tonight's count focused on people in shelters like UGM. Between now and Saturday, volunteers will also look for people living outside or in their cars across Spokane County. The results of this year's count will be released this spring. In Spokane, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Well, tonight's Spokane City Council meeting just entered its fourth hour and still no one has been chosen to fill President Betsy Wilkerson's seat. After 2 months of reading applications and conducting interviews, the choice has been narrowed down to 5 candidates. Whoever is voted in tonight will represent District 2. We will bring you updates just as soon as that vote happens. Council did already make some headway on tonight's agenda, voting to change the rules on public input. This after protesters shut down a council meeting 2 months ago. Tonight, those pro-Palestine chants were back outside City Hall.
The people united will never be defeated.
But this time, the protests were in support of an updated statement on the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas, but against council's change to the open forum policy. Tonight, council members voted to apply a rule that states that they are not required to hold open forum and can end that meeting at 10 p.m. even if that leaves no time for comment. Those opposed to the rule say it's an attempt to silence the public. However, Council President Wilkerson says it's only to provide more structure. Well, we are less than 24 hours away from the New Hampshire primary, a vote that could be a turning point for Nikki Haley in her battle against former President Donald Trump, or the end of the road. CBS spoke with Haley just hours ago. She said Trump might not have what it takes to make it through another presidency.
I think he's mentally fit, but I think he's declining. And that's look, do we really want 2 80-year-old candidates running for president? Because the concern I have is look at Joe Biden 2 years ago. Look at how much he's declined in these 2 years.
After the votes are counted on Tuesday, New Hampshire then takes those results into account when awarding delegates. To become the presidential nominee for their party, a candidate must win a majority of the delegates. All right, switching gears to talk weather now. We are looking at a pretty rainy forecast this week, but the good news is at least it'll be warmer. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo to find out what's in store this week. Jeremy?
Well, as we head through the next few days, Mark's got it. It's warm, but it is a bit rainy. 39 degrees with a light drizzle coming down as we speak. But 39, can you believe it? It is likely we dip into the mid-30s, but even then, it's kind of a barely. I would not be shocked if we saw another round of pretty widespread fog early in the morning. We've already got it out in Moses Lake and Wenatchee and up through the Okanagan Valley. It's kind of been that way for a little while. Deer Park, you saw it, and then even up into Newport and Sandpoint. If you saw it today, you're likely going to see it again tomorrow. We're almost on the backside of this little bit of rain, and as that happens, what winds up happening overnight is that we catch a quick break. Enough time for some fog to form for the morning commute. Then we get our next little wave of moisture moving through. That should give us some showers to start the day. And those will kind of persist on and off throughout. Once again, very similar to what we saw today. We'll catch a break late Tuesday, and that lasts until late Wednesday, when that overall pattern just keeps the rain in the forecast. Looks like temperatures, though, stay in the upper 30s in the days to come. By Thursday, we might just see a little bit of sun.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. Thank you very much. And now to our night beat with a quick look at the day's top stories. At least 13 kids were taken to the hospital after a crash between a school bus and a pickup truck near the Tri-Cities. The man driving the pickup truck was taken to the hospital with injuries. According to the Grant County Sheriff's Office, that crash happened near the town of Mattawa, about 20 miles outside of Vantage. The bus was from the Wahluke School District. At this hour, we don't know the conditions of the kids, but we are told none of their injuries were life-threatening. Spokane Valley Police busted what they call a nuisance house and arrested 2 people inside for drug possession. Police say the house just off of Carnahan Road has been a constant problem for neighbors. The suspects made their first appearances in court today. Spokane police say they received more than 35 calls about the house. The 2 suspects reportedly had meth and pills believed to be fentanyl in their possession. They were both released on their own recognizance after they were arrested. Meantime, recent cold weather may be to blame for sinking boats on Lake Coeur d'Alene. Last week, local officials responded to this sunken houseboat, and today another boat is half in and half out of the water. Others who docked their boats at the Coeur d'Alene Resort Marina came out today to make sure their boats hadn't met the same fate, saying the freezing temperatures did cause some concerns.
We had lots of storms, and then we had a lot of snow, and then we had a lot of precipitation, so there was some weight. So I don't know whether or not the boat just succumbed to the weight of all of the snow, ice.
We also spoke with the Coeur d'Alene Resort, which owns the marina and rents out the slips. They had no information, though, on the boats or what caused them to go down. Meantime, the FAA telling airlines they should check the door plugs on another type of Boeing 737. The 900ER is an older model than the MAX 9, which was the one that had that door panel blow off earlier this month. That plane is grounded nationwide. The 900ERs are mostly operated by Delta, United, and Alaska Airlines. Aviation experts say the 2 planes are similar, and that is likely why the FAA is recommending the inspection.
And if I were a passenger, I certainly would not have any hesitation about getting on a 900ER. I think the fact that you've got all these 900ERs that have been out there for, in some cases, decades, they've gone through heavy maintenance checks.
It only takes about 4 to 8 hours to complete the inspection, so it is unlikely flyers will see any disruption. Delta says it's already done checking, while United and Alaska says those checks are currently underway. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just head to our website. That's KREM.com. In Northwest news, the remains of the last known victim of Gary Ridgway, the Green River killer, have been identified. Investigators confirmed the remains formerly known as Bones 20 are that of Tammy Lyles. Her remains were found back in 2003. Police were unable to identify the bones at the time. Ridgway confessed to the killing of 48 people in 2003. Lyles was the final victim to be identified. Tonight, a potential new stalking threat to be aware of. Police in Western Washington say they're investigating 2 cases where suspects attached an AirTag to the victims' cars. So if you have an iPhone, turning on your location services and using Find My Phone can alert you to an AirTag moving with you. For Android, you can download the Tracker Detect app and always contact police if you are concerned about your safety. Meantime, a major fire continues to burn on the Washington coast tonight. This is video from the town of Ilwaco. Huge plumes of smoke have filled the air for hours now, and the sheriff's office says it is considered hazardous. The county issued a community protection announcement asking people to close doors and windows. As of right now, that fire is not threatening the surrounding areas, and no one has been injured. The fire is expected to impact the upcoming crabbing season, which opens on February 1st. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time.